It's Perp back with another video, and I just got done binging all 8 episodes of Mike Flanagan's brand new limited series called The Fall of the House of Usher. Man, Mike Flanagan is just really great at telling these unique horror stories, even though Blind Manor and Midnight Club are just not my cup of tea. I still appreciate him and his ideas that he kind of comes up with and just the way he writes his stories and characters. This will contain spoilers, so if you haven't watched all 8 episodes, come back and check out the review once you get done, because I wouldn't want you to get spoiled at any of this. And you see a lot of familiar faces in this series because, Mike Flanagan likes to keep the same kind of talent around, but also kind of introduce different people he hasn't worked with, like Mark Hamill. And Mark Hamill's really fucking dope in this. And it made me think, like, yo, if they ever were to reboot Halloween completely, go get Mark Hamill to play Loomis, because he definitely giving me those vibes. So anyways, let's get into it. This follows our main character, Roderick Usher, and he is the CEO, this owner of this huge pharmaceutical company that's just involved with a lot of different scandals, and there's a lot of mystery surrounding the whole company. And what ends up happening, they start this series off with him putting his kids to rest. You know what I'm saying? All his kids that are older now and whatnot have pretty much died off. Why is that? We get that explanation with this whole exchange between Roderick and Augie. Augie Dupin is this DA that's been kind of trying to crack down on this pharmaceutical company for years, because they've just been doing a lot of shady business practices, and there's been just thousands upon millions of people dying and being addicted to just everything that they have been putting out. And I like that they show us during this whole conversation, while Roderick is giving this kind of confession. It's a long-winded confession, but it kind of explains exactly what happened to each individual child, and also what kind of sparked this whole idea of him wanting to get into this business in the first place. Which I like him explaining that. And he also has a sister named Madeline. It was just those two and their mom at the time. And the mom got really sick, and she's very religious, and she doesn't believe in medicine, so she ends up dying. And instead of taking her to the hospital, they end up taking her to the backyard and burying her. But come to find out, she didn't die. She rose from the grave just so she can stick it to her boss one more time before she dies. And man, that was such a creepy scene, but such a powerful scene at the same time as you watch this series. And you see that Roderick and Madeline have just been sticking together ever since. Like, they just don't leave each other's side. And we get introduced to all of Roderick's kids, Freddie being the oldest, Tammy being like the second, and then Victorine, she is another kid of Roderick's. Then you got Leo and Perry, and also Camilla. Now, it's interesting too, because now they're having this whole board meeting and stuff like that, because Augie is trying to crack down on this family and take them down. And he kind of says in court that there's a mole within the family that wants to come forward. And this kind of starts to kind of get everybody out of pocket. One thing leads to the next, where now Roderick wants to find out who the mole is, and whoever can find it, he'll give $50 million and whatnot. And it just becomes more problematic, because you could tell which siblings are kind of closer than others, they're all kind of separate. They don't really care about each other as much, except for Leo. Leo is the only one that really shows compassion for his other siblings, even though he is still an Usher, and we see how all of them kind of borrow the same traits. Now, the first person that kind of dies, also there is like a mystery woman that lingers throughout each episode and visits all the individual children. Her name goes by Verna, and she's a very interesting pivotal character that does not get revealed exactly what she's doing and why she's doing what she's doing until like towards the end of the series. But the first person that ends up getting killed is pretty much Perry. He's the youngest, and you can kind of see it going from the youngest to the oldest, like it's just going down the bloodline. And Perry's kill is pretty much him wanting to do this whole club idea, but he's the young and reckless, and they mention he's kind of crazy. So he comes up with this idea because there's these condemned buildings, and he takes one of these condemned buildings and he wants to set up pretty much an eyes wide shut type of party, and we get a huge orgy type of scene with his character where he invites all these elite people. They have this masquerade party. Then one thing leads to the next, where he also invites his oldest brother's wife to this party as well, Maury, or Moriel, because she used to have some of that, thoughtness. She used to be for the streets pretty much. And she takes him up on his offer. She ends up being there. And this is the first time we get the introduction to Erna, where she always gives the siblings a choice, but they're going to end up dead anyway. So he kind of ignores that, ignores all the safety precautions, and what ends up happening is there's this thing that's supposed to happen at the party where it's supposed to rain down water and everybody's supposed to be fucking each other and whatnot, but what ends up happening, it's actually acid. So people that are stuck there are pretty much being, their skins are being melted alive. And it's such a fucking gnarly scene. Then we get to some more family drama, because each time a family member or sibling dies, the pressure just keeps growing and growing, and they keep pointing the fingers on like who's the informant. Camilla thinks that Vic is the informant, and it just gets crazy, you know what I'm saying? To kind of give you a little bit of background with each character, Perry is the wild young one in the group. Camilla is their PR kind of person, and Leo is involved with the gaming industry. Vic, she is into, like, she's kind of more of the scientist, I guess, working on different experiments and whatnot. And Tammy, she's kind of doing her own thing with her husband, and she's into some weird kinky shit with their husband, where she likes to watch her husband do things with hookers and whatnot. It's very odd. Rich people do the weirdest things. As the series goes along, Roderick is telling how each kid has died. Perry was the first one. Then it was Camilla. She got killed by one of Vic's apes that, she was doing experiments on apes about this like heart thing to kind of fix heart conditions, but it kind of went left, and she was doing a lot of shady shit, and that's how Camilla ends up dead. Leo ends up dying because of a cat. That was pretty interesting. I'm not gonna go into all that, but he ends up falling to his death. Vic, she ends up killing her girlfriend that she was about to snitch on everything that she was doing, while also at the same time stabbing herself in the heart. That whole scene in episode 5 was just insane. Then Tammy dies because of a bunch of shattered glass from a mirror that was above her bedroom. That was a pretty violent scene. Freddy goes out because one of the condemned buildings that they had to knock down ends up like cutting him in half like a guillotine and stuff. Just all the ways that they die is just so fucking crazy. While at the same time with Augie and Roderick having this conversation in the current day to kind of lead up to everything, and we see flashbacks of a younger Roderick and Madeline and how they kind of came about with the business and taking over this corporation from this guy Rufus. And Rufus, I mean, he is a whole dickhead, bro. He is the worst type of person, and they adopted a lot of that, and that's what kind of turned them to the dark side, essentially. And you know what they end up doing with him was pretty crazy, like putting him in this wall, essentially alive, pretty much suffocating alive, which was so twisted. It's just crazy, and it's crazy to see what they were willing to do for success once we get the reveal of the deal that they made with Verna, essentially saying like, I'll give you wealth and fame and everything you ever wanted. Cops won't be knocking at your door at any time if you just give up your bloodline. And that was so sad because there's so many people that aren't pieces of shit in the family, like Juno, which is the stepmom at the time. This is Roderick's second wife that everybody hates because she's damn near like the same age as some of these kids, but she's pretty much just like used as like a drug mule. She's just getting fed drugs. She used to be a heroin addict. She was in this real bad car accident, shattered all her bones pretty much. And Lenore is the daughter of Freddie and Maury, and she is probably the most kind-heartedest character of them all. I love what they did with her character, and just seeing the family drama aspect of it was really dope. It really gave me like Succession kind of vibes. I think just what they were trying to go for, and especially seeing Roderick and Madeline in their early ages, seeing how they kind of turned and where they went towards the end, where Roderick really felt guilty for doing this. He kind of regrets this. But also, I got to talk about Arthur, man. Mark Hamill as Arthur was really fucking dope. He's pretty much like the cleanup guy, the lawyer. He just does it all, bro. And he did an incredible job in this series as well. And all the actors and all the performances were just really top notch. You really felt there's definitely just a lot of different emotions that you're going to feel throughout this. You're going to hate certain characters. You're going to feel sympathy for some characters, or you know what I'm saying, you just might get all different types of emotions because certain characters do not deserve to die. But I just found it to be really well shot, really creepy. I love the mystery. There's also some humor here and there, but it doesn't distract from the overall story that they're trying to tell. I think Mike Flanagan has done it again and created yet again another masterpiece that can go up with Haunting of Hill House and Midnight Mass. I wish I had a bit more time to kind of talk about certain details, but I feel like I got the gist across about this whole entire series, where it's all about this family that kind of sold their soul to the devil for material wishes, and it was fantastic. It was brilliant. It was emotional. It was haunting, tragic. Overall, a fantastic watch that had me glued to my screen from start to finish. Let me know how you guys feel about it in the comments below. Till next time, I'll see you on the next one. Peace.